There's a bad side of me that I just want to burn down.
Let me set the stage. Kody Brown, the delusional narcissist, waddles into an interview meant to hype his appearance on Special Forces. And instead of, showing growth, self-awareness, or literally any sign that he's evolved from the man who detonated his family on national television, he does what he always does. He deflects, he pivots, he plugs TLC like a man clinging to a life raft. What follows is not a proud father reflecting on 20 seasons of his family story, but instead, he's a desperate spin doctor auditioning for sympathy that, newsflash, he's never going to get. So trust me, the curls are flying, the ego was unchecked, and the Robin references were nonstop, and it's all a damn mess.
Yeah, there were tons of tears, but for me, none out of pain.
Kody, sir, sometimes you are your own worst enemy. And it's time for a roast. What have you done? You can't even answer a softball question like, what does it mean to hit season 20 without immediately reminding us that your brain is wired for this spin instead of sincerity?
Oh, Kody, you're on this show, and you got, I believe, season 20 of Sister Wives.
We had certain goals at the time that I don't want to discuss here because I really do want to focus on Special Forces. But you can watch Sister Wives Sunday night at 9 p.m. starting on September 28th on TLC.
Guys, this man has the emotional depth of a puddle and the PR skills of a drunk uncle at Thanksgiving. But what's so fascinating, and by fascinating, what I mean is rage-inducing, is that he still tries to present himself as this wise old lion, when in reality, he's just the family goat who headbutts everything until it collapses. Kody, sir, if you wanted to focus on Special Forces instead of Sister Wives, then maybe don't name drop the show 5 times in 30 seconds. It's giving desperate. That's not disciplined. And did you catch how quickly Robin comes up? The interviewer barely got the words, "not even Robin," out before Kody jumped in like a jack-in-the-box to say, "Oh, Robin's gonna watch. She's intrigued." And right there, boom, you see the entire dysfunction of his life in one soundbite.
How do you think they're going to receive watching you on this show?
I don't think any of them will watch me on this show.
Not even Robin?
Oh, Robin's going to
Okay.
watch. Yeah, she's intrigued by the experience. Yeah, no, Robin will watch it.
Do you think she would go off and do this?
I wouldn't ever let Robin do this. I would never want to put her through this. And I don't think she's a tender person. She's a great mother, but she's not going to be focused on her fitness. And they showed me a video of my wife, about 2 minutes, the angel, the wind beneath my wings, and I was full on sobbing.
He talks about her like she's his mom, his mommy, his therapist, and his parole officer all rolled into one. Instead of, his wife, his equal. He never lights up like that when he talks about Christine or Janelle or Mary back in the day, because Robin isn't his partner. She's his crutch. She's his enabler. She is his supply line of validation. And if you notice how he says he would never let Robin do this show because she's tender and a great mother. I'm sorry, tender? Robin is about as tender as a DMV clerk on her lunch break, okay? This is Kody's fantasy version of Robin, that she's this delicate little flower that he has to protect from the big bad world, even though she's perfectly capable of wielding her crocodile tears like a battle axe. But that's the game though, right? He infantilizes her so that she can play the role of the helpless angel. And that lets him keep pretending that he's the protector. But what he's really doing is he's protecting her from reality itself. And what is that reality? Is that she's complicit in the mess that they both made. So this stupid psychological gymnastics here is wild. Kody is projecting his own fragility onto Robin so she doesn't have to face it at all. And I guess in return, neither does he.
Yeah, there were tons of tears, but for me, none out of pain. But all my tears were out of emotion. Just the sheer stark questioning of the DS, questioning my character, put me right into tears.
So when he's saying that Robin's too tender for this, here's the real translation. This is what he's saying. I am too tender for this, but I need to pretend I'm not. So I'll just say it's about Robin. That, my friends, is the narcissist's handbook in action. They deny, they deflect, they displace. And he is framing himself as this big bad protector because admitting that he's weak, that he's scared, that he's emotionally unstable would puncture his entire identity. But here's the thing, that's what we've seen from season 1. That's what we've seen is a man who is weak, who has been scared, who is extremely emotionally unstable. So let's be real. I don't know. I feel like Kody would probably love if Robin did the show, but she probably told him no, like you go and make the bacon. I do. I really do. And it's so funny because if you listen to this interview, Kody can tell that he messed up because his sidekick here is talking about how strong his woman would have been on the show.
Do you think Bree should take a shot at special forces?
She's a big enough hard ass that she would be able to do it. I think she could do it from a physical standpoint, from a mental standpoint, but from an attitude and following direction standpoint, she's going to tell somebody to f*** off for sure.
Kody didn't do that. He didn't do that. So
I wouldn't ever let Robin do this. I would never want to put her through this. And I don't think she's a tender person. She's a great mother, but she's not going to be focused on her fitness.
I don't know. I feel like if Robin did join the show, Kody would probably be able to make it all about how much pain he was in watching her suffer, which then in turn circles back to him being the main character. Because he has main character syndrome. We all know this. He can't help it. Everything is about him. Even his refusal to let Robin do something is actually about Kody wanting to keep control of the narrative. Or at least she probably said, hell no, I'm not doing it. You go do it. And if he says it this way, it still makes it seem like he's the one in control when we know from the beginning who is in control in that relationship. But regardless, he keeps her on the sidelines because he needs the spotlight and because he knows if she got her own storyline that she might actually outshine him. And spoiler, she already does, but not in the way he thinks, because that Johnny Manziel comes in and thank goodness for a little comedic relief. He calls the special forces challenges insane. And you can tell that Kody is itching to flex like he's survived Navy SEAL boot camp, when in reality, he probably winded up walking up the stairs to his confessional chair. I mean, seriously. So he launches into this rambling monologue about danger and real life experiences like he just got back from Afghanistan.
We had a safety harness, but there's a chance that our head would go against a rock at a very high velocity.
Sir, you need to calm down. You were on a reality show for 9 days. Okay? Nobody is pinning a medal on your curls for jumping into some water with the harness on. And actually, I guess someone forcing your head into the water, because that still shot. Woo! More on that on another video. Wow. So the way that he hypes it up is so classic Kody. He has to exaggerate how amazing he is, because deep down he knows no one in his family views him as heroic anymore. And no one that's watched him since season 1, any of the Sister Wives fans, the Sister Wives universe, they see him for who he is. So he has to build a new audience elsewhere? Does he think that this little charade is going to help? And that's the burn right there. This man had a family of almost 20 people. And instead of being their rock, he became their burden. So he has to find new arenas where he can pretend to be brave and brainwash other people into adoring him. Where people don't already know what a coward he is, how much he messed up his family. And the irony, he sees... I feel like his kids see through it instantly, and they always have.
Now, Kody, a lot of your fellow special forces here have already said they didn't exactly jive with you in this experiment. What was going on?
I'm Gen X, man. It's just a different culture. Most of them were younger than my children, or like I was old enough to be their parent. I have a big mouth.
So let's pause on this. The I'm Gen X man nonsense. Did you hear him? Like being born between 1965 and 1980 as a personal trait. He uses the I'm Gen X the way other people use I'm a Scorpio. As if it excuses being insufferable. I guess he wants us to believe that his inability to connect with anyone wasn't because he was obnoxious and bossy. No, that's not it. It's because of his generation. No, Kody, sir, no. The problem isn't that you're Gen X, okay? The problem is that you are you. You are Kody. You think that bossiness is this generosity.
And I was like, I think of it as being very generous. Other people think about it being bossy, so it's like, hey, listen, can you pick that up and help me? And it's like a little demanding. It came across wrong. I don't know. It's funny that I think I'm friendly, John.
And you call being controlling helpful, right? You call being sexist, I guess, Gen X. I don't know. That is classic narcissistic reframing. And I don't know. I feel like maybe he genuinely believes that telling people what to do is a gift. That is a gift that he's providing. It's a service he's providing. Well, guess what? They're pushing back, Kody. They don't want it. And that's when he retorts and like, well, they misunderstood me. No, they understood you perfectly. They just didn't want your disgusting, sweaty curls screaming in their face about picking up a sandbag. His whole, I think I'm friendly line, that is the narcissist's anthem. It's not about whether he's friendly. It's about whether he thinks he is. Reality doesn't really matter to him. Only perception does. And here's what I love. Johnny, bless his soul, plays the diplomat and talks about respecting different perspectives.
So for me, I'm very open and receptive of new people and being in certain situations. I make friends quickly and I don't let anything that people may view as annoying or negative or anything like that. I don't let it affect me because, I may not understand you as a whole or everything about your story, but I'm going to respect you and have a great relationship with you regardless.
I appreciate his respect because I probably was annoying.
Foot Locker rooms and making friends, and you can basically see what he's saying. I think if you read between the lines, he's saying Kody is annoying as hell, but I tolerated it. Like, that's the trauma bond that they keep referencing. Like, Johnny endured Kody the way that Christine endured him for decades. Okay, that's not a friendship, that's survival. And Kody, of course, beams because he thinks he's being respected. Because I guess respect is a big, what's the word? It matters to him. That's one of the most important compliments that you could give this man, right? But Johnny said it himself. He gets along with everyone. So just because he's getting along with you, it doesn't make it really doesn't mean anything, Kody. It doesn't. You cannot survive without external validation. You can't. And here is the kicker. I think it's interesting that later he admits that he was mentally weak, that he couldn't focus, that he forgot instructions.
I was probably mentally weak. I was losing focus a lot. They would tell me to do something and I would try to execute it. It was scary how willing I was to do whatever the DS asked me to do, but I couldn't follow it. If they gave me 10 things I needed to do, I could remember 5. If they gave me 5 to do, I could remember 3. So I was messing up quite a bit.
This is when my jaw literally dropped, when he said, if they gave me 5 things, I could remember 3. Guess what? I was like, oh my gosh, that is Kody's whole life summed up in a nutshell. Kody's never been able to juggle more than 1 or 2 relationships at a time without dropping the rest. Same with his children. Same with any tasks that any of the wives gave him. He literally admits his weakness on national television without realizing it's the exact same weakness that destroyed his family. He can't focus on multiple tasks, just like he can't focus on multiple wives. Imagine that. Imagine that, guys. He remembers 3 out of 5. Just like with Sister Wives, he remembered 1 out of 4. The odds are pretty similar. He loved 1 of 4. And the one he chose is the easiest one for him to manipulate. Psychologically, this is a man whose brain is wired for chaos, but not accountability. He craves competition and danger because it distracts him from the quiet moments where self-reflection might creep in. So that's why I feel like he liked being on Special Forces, probably more than he ever wanted to be in any of his first 3 marriages. And on the show here, he can pretend that failing is a task. But this isn't about morality or empathy. This isn't just a task. This is like push-ups and memory drills. But in his family, failing meant not being emotionally present, not being a father, not being a partner. And that was too real for him to handle. So he decides to run to a artificial hardship, which is Special Forces, where he gets paid, by the way, because it's easier than facing authentic hardship, like being there for his kids after one of them passes away, something like that. But it seems like that's who Kody is. He is a man who would rather get yelled at by drill sergeants than to sit in silence with his children's grief. And let's not gloss over the fact that when the interviewer asked if Robin would watch, he said yes without hesitation. But when asked about the other wives, I don't think any of them will watch me on the show. Yeah, no way. Translation, you know why? Because they can't stand you anymore. And neither can we. And he knows it. He knows that Christine would probably rather set her DVR on fire than to watch him. Actually, let me take that back. I think Christine has said that her and David would watch probably just to laugh at him. I'm paraphrasing and reading in between the lines because she didn't say those exact words, but that's pretty much what I got out of it. And I feel like that probably enrages him. So yeah, he clings to Robin's validation like a lifeline. Nothing's new. He's done that since season 1. That is his whole deal. And if one person still believes he's special, I guess he can pretend that the rest of the world doesn't see the truth. So that is the roast of Kody Brown. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. There is so much more to go over, but that is it for now. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure if you haven't gotten Christine's copy of her audiobook, get it now. I have it linked in the description box below and in the pinned comment section because You get a 30-day free trial. 30 days to listen to the book. It's only about 8 hours. And if you do it on like 0.8 times speed, which is what I did, you get to hear it in Christine's voice and you get it done in 4 hours. It's perfect. It's the perfect. You can listen to it on your phone, from your laptop, from your computer, on your TV. I highly recommend it. So click on the link and listen now. All right. See you guys in the next one.